So due to a technical problem, which is, well, it's a fancy word for saying I forgot to turn the microphone on. There's several hours of this Let's Play series that doesn't have any audio. So I decided rather than just have you sit through these videos that don't have any commentary or even the game music, I thought I would just briefly summarize them all, blow through it as quick as we can. We were in the mansion of the... We were in the basement of the Giovanni mansion, of course. And we wound up in a spooky zombie-filled basement, obviously, which is what happens when you go to an Italian dinner party. Luckily, when you shoot a zombie in the head with an Uzi, it takes critical damage, even though it's a shitty bullet. So we did a bunch of that. And after we wandered through that a bunch, shot some zombies, I think we missed a side quest of some sort where some idiots from the party wandered down here and were gonna die. We left them because we're a terrible person. We found ourselves at the sarcophagus and we got confronted by a couple of middle-aged double dragon looking fellas. And they told us that LaCroix and the China vampires had a deal and that we weren't supposed to be there. And basically, I actually can't remember if we had the option to, but we told them to go fuck themselves, and we of course had to fight them. Luckily, being magical Chinese vampires with magical powers, our gun was worthless against them, and they meanwhile had a sword and a blade, which was evidenced in their incredibly well thought out names of Blade Brother and Claw Brother. So after they brutally murdered us, we tried it again and barely survived. Which allowed us to drag the sarcophagus to safety. After delivering the sarcophagus to LaCroix in our conveniently placed U-Haul van, he basically flailed about, whining that he didn't have the strength to open the lid. But luckily, Beckett was there, who rambled on about the garbage carved on it and how it wasn't important at all. But he told us that a German fellow, the name escapes me, probably Gruber von Hitler, something like that. The guy that found the sarcophagus in the first place. He'd know what to do with it. He'd know where the key was or whatever. And we had to go to his hotel and find him. So, with some downtime in the city, we did the usual, you know, grab our club money, talk to Fat Larry, who had some new guns. We delivered the artifact we found in the Giovanni mansion to Henrietta Hospital, whatever the hell her name is. And she gave us an artifact. What artifact did she give us? I can't remember. The artifacts are all forgettable. We also swung by the last round where, for some reason, I'm not sure, maybe it's because we sold out their leader, all the anarchs fucking hate us. Except for Jack, who surprisingly somehow knew we were at the museum and gives us this wacky theory about how LaCroix is going to eat the elder vampire that is supposedly in the sarcophagus. Sure, I've been a vampire for a couple days, so I'll just defer to his judgment on that matter. We do some running around in Chinatown as well. And we bump into the most stereotypical vampire hunter in the game. A little Japanese/Chinese girl. I can't remember if they verify which one it is. But she's got some sort of like horribly racist name too, I think, like Sakura Bushido. And she explains to us like the racial slurs she has for vampires. And she tells us that she's hunting some sort of fish monster that killed her master. And we offer to help. I forget why. She gives us money, maybe. We track down this rascal at the bar. He basically asks us to go visit him in his warehouse. You can find out that he's a fish monster because he smells like fish. And of course, conveniently, his cover is to work at the fish warehouse. Very sneaky. So we team up with little Asian girl. We get to see Fish Monster transform like a cheesy Power Rangers episode. We go beat the shit out of this thing, by which I mean it punches her in the face while I shoot it sometimes. She thanks us. I think she uses a less offensive racial slur and she goes about her business without giving her crossbow to us, which would have been super cool. But it turns out that Gruber, whatever his name was, has been kidnapped by those rascally vampire hunters that hate LaCroix. So of course we get roped into going because we need the key from this kid. So we go to their secret vampire hunter hideout, which is just a monastery built on the cliffside of Los Angeles, like most monasteries. And they were polite enough to post a bunch of guys outside and fill their whole base with explosives, which we managed to set off on more than one occasion. After we fought our way inside to the basement, we did some random shit, mostly obfuscating past everybody. We managed to find Ash, who I guess was relevant still somehow, even though he got captured again. He was worthless the entire time we knew him. We rescued him and he fucked off somewhere, whatever. So we get right to the end. The vampire hunter's there. It's a boss fight, of course. He has Jesus magic, which we learned is a thing. So his boss fight was incredibly bland. It involved him shooting us with a sniper rifle and teleporting away whenever we hit him. Very exciting stuff. We eventually murder him. Go in, rescue the German dude. Use our Malkavia powers on him, of course, to cut to the chase. He wags his philosophy about how vampires aren't real and it's all symbolism, which would make a lot of sense except for the fact that I'm a goddamn vampire. We find out that the key to the sarcophagus should have been on the Elizabeth Dane with the rest of the sarcophagus. It's missing. Oh well. So we start to escort this German fella out. Vampire's still alive. Very cliche fashion. He causes the cave to self-destruct, which means it rumbles violently for several minutes while I walk out, hop in a motorboat to safety. I don't think we see German guy ever again. Oh well. So we go to tell LaCroix the good news that we've accomplished nothing when we find out that the Sabbat apparently attacked LaCroix Tower, which for some reason leaves a giant pile of rubble on the street in front of it as the only indication. LaCroix's very upset. He tells us to go deal with the Sabbat, which conveniently live in a crack house down the street. Now, I thought the dungeon to get to the Nosferatu was awful, but this Sabbat crack house was something else. It was just room after room filled with dudes. They hit like trucks. It was awful. It was awful to be a gun character in this place. Just the game doesn't accommodate that sort of a dungeon. And you can tell because the Sabbat crack house happened to be filled with random humans so you could drain their blood to get your powers back, but they were also blind so you wouldn't break the Masquerade. And this place just wouldn't end. Maybe around the halfway point, our ghoul/girlfriend appeared for some reason. I guess because somebody's been stalking her and it was the Sabbat. She's killed very climactically, which I guess I'm supposed to feel bad for because she gave us some pretty good body armor. After we fight through more of the garbage crack house, we get to the end, and of course it's that weird Transylvania rascal. It doesn't really matter what he says because you have to fight him either way. Luckily, we had a flamethrower. The one benefit of being a gun character. Which just horribly murders this boss. We go outside to meet the, well, where we don't meet her, we're surprised by her. We're surprised by the head Chinese vampire who warns us that we've been double-crossed by her and LaCroix, but she's on the level and she won't double-cross us. She explains how she did it by revealing her special power to be to transform into little Latino men. And again assures us that she won't double-cross us because she's a trustworthy person after all. But LaCroix, he's the dangerous one. So we go see LaCroix, and he asks us to form a truce with the Anarchs, which would require us to meet Nines, who's missing. This is, of course, not a double cross at all after Chinese vampire lady warned us. So we head off to meet Nines in some sort of weird cable car forest, which may or may not be in real life. I don't fucking know. I'm not from Los Angeles. But Nines is actually there. We talk with him briefly, only to find out that it was a double cross and the forest is set on fire. We get attacked by werewolves who promptly beat the shit out of Nines, and we learn that werewolves in this game are invincible and hit like a truck. While we wait for the cable car to come back and save us, we have to run away from a werewolf for approximately 3 minutes, which involves us just running like a coward while having slippery butter feet on the incredibly well-waxed floor.